So my name's Mark Wareing. I'm Client Director at Abacus. Delighted to have Till with us today. I think Till's going to kick off with a bit of background on Madeleine.
Yes. Can you hear me up there and back? First time I use these microphones. Where do I have to press more? This one. Thank you. So I'm the Managing Director of Madeleine Fashion in the UK. Madeleine Fashion, as the name would suggest, is actually selling fashion, and we are selling ladies' fashion, upmarket, high-quality fashion via these great catalogs on our website. The name would probably also suggest that we are a French company, but this isn't the case. We're actually German, created in the 70s, and we've set up subsidiaries all over Europe over the last years, with the UK subsidiary starting in 2008. We are now at a turnover of roughly 12 million in the UK. Target market, as I said, obviously female, affluent woman at the age of 45 plus. And the average order value for us is roughly 225. We have a house file of approximately 170,000 names. We are mailing out to roughly 70,000 customers per mail drop. And as most fashion companies do, we have a spring, summer, and an autumn, winter season with 9 to 10 mail drops per season. So every 2 or 3 weeks, we're mailing out a catalog. Data selection is done in-house. We have our own data warehouse, and we are actually based on a frequency-based model. So as you can see from the numbers, we have a significant number of names in our file. We are mailing out 70,000, so there's a certain gap. And the idea was, if you're sending out expensive pieces like this one, I mean, this is large letter format, you can guess how much it costs in sending it out. It's actually much more expensive in terms of producing it. So you have to be careful who you mail to, and if you find a way to optimize your circulation and find a way to optimize the name file, then you're obviously winning money quite soon. So the idea that we discussed with Mark and his colleagues actually on one of the former Abacus Insight events was, how can we enrich the data that we have on our customers, on our inquirers, with data that is available in the Abacus Alliance, to have a better view on our customers and to actually make better judgment of who do we mail, especially into the lapsed and inquiry base, and probably who can we suppress without hurting our overall performance. So the overall goal was actually to mail out more profitably. And Mark is now going to explain in more detail how we achieve that.
Okay. So how can transactional data be used? We have 2 core products that clients can license and take in-house against your customer file. The first of those is a propensity score, which we call our license score. And this is a sort of ready-to-use ranking system that's built across your entire customer file. And the model can be built to predict 3 things. It can be built to predict customer reactivation, so mining into your lapsed database. We can use it to predict inquirer activation, and also a cross-sell model, so you can cross-sell product across different brands within your group. We also have a product called data tagging, and this is where we actually tag actual spend and frequency variables against your customer file, so you can start to understand what your customers are doing elsewhere in the marketplace at a category level. The differences between the 2 approaches, and they can be used by large and small businesses. The propensity score approach, it has more ease of use. So that's a ranking system from segment 1 to 10, so it can easily be integrated within your own segmentation, segment 1 being those customers most likely to react, segment 10 being those least likely to react. The data tagging, as I say, is actual spend and frequency variables, so you're going to need some level of capability in-house to use that product. But it does give you a lot more insight around what those customers are doing elsewhere in your marketplace. So because of the platform Madeleine had and the fact that they love the numbers, we actually went with the data tagging product. So as I say, that's spend and frequency variables. We have 21 merchandising categories in the Alliance. Madeleine sit in our high-end fashion category. So we provide them variables on what their customers are doing elsewhere in that high-end category. But we also create a bespoke category for them as well. So that's looking at the brands that their customers are most frequently buying from. And if they're more likely than the average customer to buy from those brands, we group those brands together to create a bespoke category. And that could just be within the fashion, but it can also go across household goods, gifts, gadgets. But where we see their customers most active with those brands, we group them to give that overall view of what they're spending within that bespoke group. So it's the best solution if you want to add that additional layer to your own segmentation. It keeps the analysis in-house, but it can also be used for additional sort of market insight work like share of wallet. So as well as being able to mine into your lapsed customer file or your inquirer file, you can also start to understand how much of your customers' share you're capturing and how much they're spending with your competitors, so you can start to sort of tailor offer strategy, and we'll come on to that in a bit. So how does the data look? Well, there's just a sort of an example here. You can see the top customer has a lifetime spend in the Alliance of £6,000, £1,500 of that in the last 12 months. And they have 31 transactions in 12 months. And then we provide some category level spend information as well. Whereas the second customer you can see has only £557 spend in lifetime, 83 in the last 12 months, and only 3 transactions. So you can start to use this information to distinguish between those customers that have potential high value to you and potentially low value based on what they're doing elsewhere in the market. And you can use then that data against your customer file in 2 ways. You can use it as a sequential approach. So you can make your own selections with in this example here, you mail your 0 to 24 month customers and you use the data tags to make incremental selections in your older base. Or you can use a combined approach. So you make your 0 to 24 month selections, but where you start to see those customers having lower spend in your category, or maybe we're scoring lower if you took the license score product, you can start to suppress those records and pull in records within your 24-month plus file that we can see are very active within your market space. So you're not reducing mailing volumes, you're just mailing smarter. You're switching records that are underperforming and replacing those with potentially high-value customers. So a really simple snapshot of how that could look. We've got a recency frequency segmentation here. We're assuming an acceptable response rate of 1%. So you can see they're mailing all of their 0 to 12-month file within their 13 to 24-month customers. Their singles and multis are both above campaign acceptable, but their 25-plus month customers are underperforming. When you start to look at that in conjunction with the Abacus data tags, you can start to see that actually there's a segment within your 13 to 24-month file that have no activity in the last 12 months within women's clothing that are below the 1% threshold. But there are people within the 25-plus month file that are worth mailing because we can see they have an activity in 12 months within category. So you have a suppression opportunity there, but additional reactivation opportunities in your older file. So just to move on to the results.
Thank you. So the big question obviously is, does it work? And I can tell you definitely yes, it does work. We had, prior to starting with tagging our names, we did cut off in our customer base at, let's say, 25, sometimes 30 months. We can now go as deep as 49, sometimes even plus, with the tags. And you just seen the example from Mark. I can tell you that the actual results are sometimes even more amazing. The difference between tagged customers and non-tagged customers is enormous. And I think the reason behind this is that there simply may be changes in lifestyle, in other contributing factors to buying decisions that we simply cannot grasp by just a frequency or a recency model, and that you can see by adding Abacus data. When it comes to inquirers, we usually cut off at 6 or 12 months. We can now go as deep as 25, sometimes even plus, and still have quite good response rates. So the overall result for us after one season was a 19% increase in volume that we were able to mail out profitable. And I pass on to Mark for the other results.
Yeah, so just looking at the suppression opportunities, before utilising the tags, the response rate of the 24 to 30-month customers was 1.4%. But then looking at that same segment of data and suppressing those records that were underperforming, they had an uplift in performance of that customer group to 1.7%, which is a 21% increase. And it's, as Till said, their catalogue is very expensive to produce. So that's had a 15% saving in their marketing budget. So I mentioned earlier as well, the next steps for Madeleine, really, what they're looking to start to integrate in 2016 is to use the tags to give them a view of customers' share of wallet. So this is going to be built into the tagging solution, and it's going to help them drive their selection and offer strategy. So just to give you a quick sort of snapshot of how that works, you've obviously got all of the variables appended against your customer files, so you can understand what your customers are spending elsewhere in your category. So where you can see that a customer has a low spend within category and also low spend with yourselves, you might want to consider how frequently you contact those customers and evaluate what marketing you push to them, because you can see that there's probably very limited growth opportunity with those customers. But where you can see someone has very high spend in your category, but actually a low percentage of that is spent with yourselves, there's great revenue opportunity there. So we put them in our sort of grow share of wallet category. So those people should be sort of sent, offers, discounts to really incentivize them to sort of take that share away from your competitors and pull it to yourselves. Conversely, where you've got your people with low spend in category, but very high percentage of that spend is with yourselves, those are loyal customers, and there's opportunity to grow spend with them because they are very loyal and engaged with your brand. So you can start to sort of upsell and cross-sell them, or put basket builders. So you can start to refine your offer strategy on that customer group. And then where you've got very high spending category and a very high percentage of that is spent with yourselves, those are your sort of retained group. Those are your really loyal customers, and you might want to sort of set up some VIP program, which I know Till is sort of very keen at looking at. Because these people were, personalised communication. We have one client who sort of the Kashmir Centre who offer sort of free tailoring to their sort of retained segment within the share of wallet group. So as you can see, using the tags to understand what your customers are doing elsewhere really helps you sort of hone your offer strategy. So that will be implemented over the next 12 months with Madeleine. And that's us. Thank you.